If you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you want to try to get an internship, and if you don't want to get an internship and you clicked on this video, well, what else is more productive during quarantine than watching my YouTube channel? Alright, I know you just came here for the intro title slide, so feel free to click out of the video now. Guilty! Honestly, I can't even blame you. Like, imagine my position. When I'm editing my videos, I have to watch my own video. So actually, this wasn't the video that I had planned this week, but I decided to film this video instead because it's November, so I know it's like the height of internship application season for next summer. But I just wanted to get this video out there. Hopefully it'll help at least one person on the internship application process. And also, one of you guys left a comment on, I think, my Genentech video, and yeah, that reminded me to make this video. Also, can you tell, but it kind of sounds like I lost my voice, and it's probably because I haven't talked to another living human being in the past 2 days. So apologies if it sounds like I'm going through puberty throughout this entire video. So one of the first things that I want to emphasize in terms of applying to internship applications is that you want to apply to a lot of places. Why? Because you're not God. You can't have that mindset of, I'm gonna apply to one company and one company only, and it's Google. Because I love Google, and the only internship I want is a Google internship. I know this can sound a little bit trivial. Obviously, you should apply to a lot of companies if you're trying to get an internship just because of numbers. Statistically, the more places you apply to, the higher chance you'll get at least one offer. But I hear a lot of people saying that, oh, I applied to so many places and I just keep getting turned down from everywhere. I keep getting rejected. And I honestly think a part of the problem is that they think that they're applying to enough places, when in fact, maybe they only apply to 25 places and they consider that a lot or enough. Personally, I think that you have to submit at least...
Trick question. The answer is as many as you can.
And also too, when you get those interviews, hopefully when you do, how many of those interviews are you actually going to pass? You're gonna need some buffer for the amount of interviews that you're going to bomb or fail, which is obviously inevitable, unless you're perfect. I don't know what that's like. And I think a really good strategy is to create an Excel spreadsheet of your applications. So maybe have a column of the company you apply to, and then another column of the due date of the application, when you sent it in, whether or not you passed the resume screen or you were rejected, when you hope to hear back, what did the recruiter say to you? That way you can organize all these companies because you can easily lose track. And there's this thing, I like to call it the snowball effect, where once you get one internship, that really helps you to land several internships or other opportunities down the line after it, simply because now you have that experience that you can build off of. So really, the only thing you need is that one first initial internship. All I can say is don't worry about it too much, and it's okay to be rejected by literally everywhere. Honestly, even if you send out applications to hundreds of places and you get rejected 100%, you have 100% rejection rate. I wouldn't take it personal at all. In fact, this is a good learning experience for you because get ready for more rejection in the future. No, I'm just kidding. I would say if you can't get an internship for the summer, it's definitely not the end of the world. In fact, it might even be a disguised blessing to not get an internship for a summer. Instead, that summer that you have would be a great chance to develop a lot of personal projects that you've been meaning to work on. And honestly, that creativity, that ability to work within your own free space without having maybe a rigorous system in place around you, can give you the potential to blossom into a person that you never thought you would become. If you have the right mindset, you can learn in any environment that you're placed in. Any situation is a learning opportunity. It just depends on how you want to perceive the situation. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about was simply understanding the application timeline. And this is another thing that sounds really simple, but it's something that I didn't really understand when I was maybe a freshman. And seeing the big picture of the whole process actually helps. The internship application timeline goes from preparation, send in your application, pass, resume screening, get a phone screen, next round of interviews if the company has them, and then finally the on-site interviews, and then hopefully you get an offer. So it's a pretty long process. The prep for your application actually begins the summer before the summer that you were to start your internship. So say you were to apply to summer of 2021, technically your preparation for getting this internship would start summer 2020. And the reason why is because say these interviews are technical, you want to give yourself time to prepare for these technical interviews and also even the behavioral interviews, right? Those are questions that people don't know the answers to off the top of their heads. Like if I were to ask myself, hey Megan, what's your greatest weakness? I would probably say chocolate. If I were to ask myself, hey Megan, what's your greatest strength? It would be making YouTube videos that get to the point of the video right away. And then obviously keeping track of when the applications open is super important. So I personally think that it's best to send in your application or resume right when the application opens. And this is obviously dependent on the company, right? So if they're doing a rolling admissions type of process, then they would send out interviews at the same time that they would have incoming resumes. So in this situation, it would be important to send in your application right away. There's other companies where they'll open up their internship application for maybe 2 months and then they'll close it. So it doesn't really matter when you send in your resume in that 2-month time span. It just matters that you get it in. But ultimately, I think that that's just too much thinking. Like it's too hard to try to guess what a company will do when they get their applications. And that's just a lot of guesswork and a lot of thinking that will take up a lot of time that could be better spent watching the startup. So I think to minimize the amount of thinking, it's best to just send in your application right away. I personally have seen a higher success rate. So the applications that I did send in right away, I was able to schedule interviews and then ultimately get an offer a lot faster. Folks, I really sound like I'm going through puberty. Like, I can feel it in my throat, how croaky I sound. Apologies. And now the third important thing that I wanted to talk about is the resume. And this goes without saying that the resume is obviously pretty important. And I read a lot of things online that the recruiter only looks at your resume for like maybe 7 seconds, plus or minus a second. Now, whether or not the recruiter looks at your resume for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 1 second, I don't even care. It's irrelevant. Essentially, the takeaway from this is that you have to make your resume as irresistible as a brown sugar boba tea latte. When the recruiter looks at your resume, they need to go, bam, this person is a star. I have to give this person an interview. Your resume should be 1 page and it should be very clear. Put your name big and center because you're a star. You're unforgettable. When the recruiter pulls up your resume, you want them to look at it. And immediately, in 1 second, you want them to extract. Okay, Britney Spears is a senior at UC Berkeley studying computer science and is in pursuit of a software engineering internship for the summer of 2021. No hesitation. Obviously, you should put down the school that you attend and GPA. I personally think that you should always just leave your GPA on it, because not having a GPA on your resume just raises more questions than having a GPA on your resume, even if it's a little bit lower. And ultimately, in terms of getting internships, GPA isn't as important as you think. What they care more about are the skills that you have and whether or not your experiences are relevant to the position that you're applying to. Now, age or class year, so you're standing as freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, I personally think are one of the most important parts on your resume. And that's something that I didn't realize before. The way I see this is that when you're getting an internship, you have to satisfy 3 pillars. So the first pillar is, are you technically capable and strong? Do you possess the technical skills and capabilities to take on the internship project that you would be working on that summer? The second is behavioral. So basically, are you a prick? If you're not a prick, awesome. You're 2/3 of the way to getting an offer. And the third thing is logistics. And logistics comes down to, are you the age that the company is looking for? And are there enough positions that match the number of interns that they're wanting to hire for that summer? So if there's 7 qualified applicants, but there's only 6 positions, then unfortunately, one person, despite meeting the technical and behavioral components, won't get an offer because they don't meet the logistical concerns. And that could be something that's not entirely in your control. But what you can control is your age. So here's the thing. If you're a freshman and sophomore, I know you're faced with this sort of catch-22 dilemma where how can I gain experience when I don't even have experience? A lot of the internship look for candidates that already have an internship from their previous summers. So first of all, you can apply to these specific internship positions that are specifically made for lower classmen. So I know that Google has their STEP program, Facebook has their, I don't know what it's called, but Facebook has their lower classmen internships for only freshmen and sophomore. And I know other big companies have something similar where they have a separate application for those who are freshmen and sophomores, and then I have a separate application for those who are juniors and seniors. So I would say if you're applying to those STEP programs specifically for lower classmen, then it's okay to leave your class standing as freshman or sophomore because you meet the requirement. But say you're trying to apply for a regular internship position where it says in their job position that they're looking for juniors and seniors. Well, obviously, if you put down that you are a freshman or a sophomore, you'll get automatically rejected. And this isn't always the case. So sometimes they'll overlook it that you're a sophomore and you're younger, but ultimately it'll be a lot harder to convince someone to overlook a certain requirement just for you. And the reasoning behind companies recruiting interns of a certain age is that sometimes they are looking specifically for seniors because their goal is to convert that intern into a full-time later. They're using this internship as a sort of trial period where they can try out this person and see if this person is actually a prick or not, or they're actually capable of doing the work, or they actually like this person. So something that I learned is that reading the job description actually helps. I know, shocking. So you're probably wondering, well, if I'm a freshman and sophomore and I really want those positions that aren't meant for my age, but I personally think I am very qualified, what should I do? What should I put down on my resume that will allow me to proceed to the next level past resume screening? Now, what I would advise is that if you're a freshman, try to refrain from using the term freshman on your resume. Or like if you're class of 2024, don't put down 2024 on there, because having freshman on your resume is sort of an invisible red flag in my opinion. Just from my personal experience. This could be different for other people. So if you're a freshman, you can put down rising sophomore. Or if you're a sophomore, you can put down rising junior. Another section that I think is pretty important is to put down courses that you're currently taking or have taken. And I think it's good to list the classes or curriculum that you've taken that are relevant to the position that you're applying to. So the purpose of this section is to basically tell the recruiter, I'm not a total idiot. It's important to tell them what you know because they don't know what you know. So for experience, I also think it's pretty important to list experiences that are tailored to the job internship posting that you're applying to. And I know that this is a lot of work, right? So if you're applying to a lot of internships and especially to different types of internship because you're perfect, you're a Renaissance man, you're both an artist, a writer, a filmmaker, and a software engineer, you're applying to all those 5 different types of internships. So if you're applying to a software engineering position, it would probably be better to highlight your coding skills or coding experiences versus your artwork or your other stuff you're good at. I wouldn't know. I'm not a Renaissance man. This is a lot of work, but don't be lazy because I've learned that it actually helps. So now you may have heard of the old trick where you copy the job description and then you paste it onto your resume, but as an invisible font ink that blends into the background of your resume. This is the purpose of when you send in your resume and it passes through their screening algorithm. So your resume will light up like a Christmas tree because it contains all of the keywords that is listed in the job description. And those are the keywords that the algorithm is looking for. And now, I think this is quite inventive. And no, I personally have never done this, nor do I endorse this. But if someone out there tries it and they make a YouTube video on it, I'll watch it. And I know some of you out there are probably thinking, but Megan, I'm a wee little freshman. I don't have any experience to list down on my resume except for hospital volunteer for 4 years in high school. This would be a good chance to list down personal projects. So projects that you're working on yourself that you may have started on your own, or maybe even projects that you're working on in your classes. The important thing is to be able to have stuff on your resume that show that you have the potential to learn more things in the future and that you're currently active in the area of the internship that you're applying to. And this sort of goes back to what I said earlier in the video, right? Where your preparation for a summer internship actually begins the year before it starts. These personal projects obviously aren't things that magically come about overnight. Rome wasn't built in a night. Your experience isn't built in a night. So when the application opens on, say, Saturday, you can't start your personal project on Friday midnight and then put it down on your resume and expect it to be a great talking point in your future interviews. And now skills and keywords are important. And if you're wondering what are these keywords? Well, the answer is all in the job description. It's honestly unbelievable when you read the job description. You're given so many answers. So say you read the job description and it's for a wet biology position. And they say, we are seeking candidates with experience in PCR, we are seeking candidates in PCR, RT, PCR, all the PCRs. We want candidates just excellent in PCR. Well, it would not be a bad idea to list down in your skills section, PCR, master. If it's a software engineering internship, you gotta throw in linked list somewhere in that page. If it's a machine learning internship, you gotta have PyTorch, Keras, TensorFlow, Mocha Frappuccino, what? All on your resume. Just make sure that whatever you end up deciding to put on your resume is something that is actually valid and is something that you could actually talk about quite a bit. Or else you'll just end up getting wrecked in a later stage of the process anyways in the interview. But Megan, what if I can't get an interview? What if no company wants me? So I would say if you're struggling to get interviews, you can reach out to recruiters or current workers at that company and just cold email them. Attach your resume, introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Brittany Spears. I'm a senior at UC Berkeley, passionate about computer science and biology. I think working at 24andU would be a great opportunity to apply computational technologies to solving biological problems. These are my past experiences, and I'd really love a chance to chat with you virtually over a cup of virtual coffee about potential internship opportunities. The Christmas lights behind me just fell, just like my dignity when I started this YouTube channel. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and I hope that you guys out there are successful with your internship application cycle. Smash that like, subscribe, and comment button. Smash them all at once. And I'll see you very soon.